Joining us now, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Democrat from Illinois. Congresswoman, thank you for talking with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
Were you surprised that after the president changed the rules so that Catholic universities and hospitals didn't have to pay for this coverage, Republicans widened the fight on this, that they said it should be all employers who get this exemption?
I think it is a colossal political miscalculation on their part. You know, 57% of Catholic voters think that this pragmatic compromise was a really good idea, and only 29% of Catholic voters oppose that. And, you know, this is birth control we're talking about, and I think if these Republicans, mainly Republican men, because now even some of the Republican women senators are changing their mind or coming out in favor of this policy, if they want to bring that on as a political issue, I say bring it on, because virtually 100% of Americans not only embrace the idea of birth control, but actually use birth control. And I think that this is such an incredible mistake.
Well, your point about the Republicans, and we should say Senator Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe have broken with the Republican line, is interesting because the politics of this, the way it's playing in the different coalitions, appears to have completely reversed in the last week. A week ago, you were seeing splits across the Democratic coalition, and now you're seeing splits among the Republican one. Aside from Senators Collins and Snowe, in the House, are you seeing any movement of similar frictions?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that even before the compromise, the majority of Americans were in favor of organizations. You call them religious organizations, but we're not talking about churches, houses of worship. We're talking about hospitals, charities, universities that are Catholic affiliated or religious affiliated, but they're employers that employ janitors and orderlies and nurses and teachers, and that those individuals ought to be able to have access to contraception was always the majority view. And I have to tell you, Ezra, quite frankly, what we saw were some of the men talking about how this was about religious freedom, when in fact it is not about religious freedom. This is about access to contraception. I think the White House, the president, came up with an absolutely brilliant compromise, and it is accepted by the Catholic Hospital Association, by Catholic charities, and now there's just the Republicans and the bishops who are saying no to it.
And then, so how do the politics of this play out going forward? There was I don't know if you saw this, there was a report a few weeks ago by the group Third Way, and what they argued was that the independents who broke for the president in 2008 were overwhelmingly young, female, and in many ways secular. And this has begun, this has been the third major event this year that has put birth control and reproductive services seemingly in threat. There was the original effort to defund Planned Parenthood, then there was the Komen effort to defund Planned Parenthood, which was a huge story just a couple weeks ago. And now this, with the president and Democrats in general attempting to reactivate those voters in 2012, it sort of seems like the movement that is so skeptical of birth control has done it for them.
I think you're right. And in fact, I was looking at the number on Catholic independent voters against 56%. So that's men and women believe that this is the right policy. I think they're treading into very politically dangerous waters if they want to take on these issues that are so important to women and, as you say, young people. The issue of contraception, any controversy about birth control is done. This is the year 2012, and I think a lot of particularly young voters are absolutely astonished that this would be controversial. And so I think that they have actually helped us if they want to double down on this issue and say that this is immoral in some way. The debate in the United States of America is over. People want access to birth control.
Illinois Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ezra.